further ado, ladies, I would like to introduce to you JuJuan Buford. Go ahead and take it away, JuJuan.
Well, number one, I want to thank you so very much for the invitation here to be with you all. It's truly a privilege and an honor. And of course, Makita, you know how much respect I have for you and your passion for community and upliftment and just wanting to see people become their highest and best selves. So I'd be remiss if I didn't thank you and also pay it forward, congratulate you and your success and what you're doing here. And for the audience here, I mean, I can't really give much better of an introduction. The check's in the mail, Makita.
Thank you. I'll take that.
She pretty much summed it up on the head. But just to give you my brief Dun and Bradstreet, so you know I'm just not a talking head. My professional background is, once again, former investment advisor. I actually started out in the banking industry almost 20 years ago. And I didn't last long. I lasted all about 3 to 6 months. The reason being is I brought in $1 million of new revenue to the bank, which 20 years ago was a lot of money. I think it's a pretty penny today too, but back then it was certainly a lot of money. I brought in that type of revenue from the first 3 months, and they gave me a $50 Marshall Fields gift card as my reward. So I quit, and I basically loaned my work ethic, talent, and willingness to learn to myself and started my own practice as an investment advisor. And I'll be transparent with you. It sucked in the first 2 years. It was bad. Okay. I had never been an entrepreneur before full time. I didn't have the entrepreneurship muscle, but what I did have was incredible stubbornness. Okay. And I had a daughter that needed to be fed. How many of you know that when your children have to eat, you'll do whatever it takes. Right. And so being a single parent, I put my head down and I went to work. To tell you how tough the environment I was in, I found out 2 years into my career that the other agents in the office I worked in, they actually had a pool of money they set aside where every single month they bet how soon I would quit. And they would come up with ways to get me to quit. And I found out about that. So it gives you an idea of the type of environment that I was in. But nevertheless, I came out of that, once again, started my own agency, became one of the few African-Americans in the history of the state of Michigan to actually start up their own general agency, get that process underway. And then once I did that, 2008 transpired. And I think we all remember what 2008 was like. I was talking to a group of business owners yesterday, and I said, they call it a recession, but here in Detroit, it was a depression. Okay, I had clients that on paper owned millions of dollars in real estate, owned dealerships. They couldn't afford to buy a beer 2 months later. So it was tough. And in the process of trying to figure out what I was going to do during 2008, business owners were not coming to my office asking to invest money. They weren't asking for the latest, greatest return or ROI. They were like, Mr. Buford, I need a business plan. Mr. Buford, I need a marketing plan. Mr. Buford, I'm getting ready to go through a divorce. Mr. Buford, the IRS is auditing me. I'm getting ready to lose my business. My partnership is dissolving. My business is dissolving. What can you do to help me out? And over almost 15 years of walking in and out of business owners' offices all across the United States, some of them earning $20,000 a year, some of these businesses earning $20,000 a day. You can imagine I learned a lot, right, from dealing with these business owners. I didn't realize I had this treasure trove of experience inside of me. And when people would come to me with their problems, I kind of just was able to very quickly tell them what they needed to do. If they needed a document, I was able to get it to them. They needed to think their way through a problem, I was able to give it to them, not because I was so great or so wonderful, but because I had met all these successful business owners over a 15-year period of time, literally 10 to 15 business owners a week. And so I had all this knowledge that I found out was very valuable to people. So I made the transition from being an investment advisor to more or less being a B2B entrepreneur. And I want you to pay close attention to the language I'm using before I get into this, right? I said B2B entrepreneur. I didn't say coach. I didn't say life coach. I didn't say life consultant. I'm not a person that makes money off telling people what to do. I build businesses. I have a real estate business. I have an online publishing company. I have my B2B consulting company. I have my PPLSI business that I've built. I am very much an entrepreneur that is actively building businesses. I just don't mind taking time to help other entrepreneurs do the same thing because I believe a rising tide lifts all ships, right? So there's a big difference between me and everyone else, okay? If you're getting ready to take a trip through the Amazon and you know it's dangerous waters, Do you want to take the travel agent that's just read about it, or do you want to take the tour guide that's taken the trip numerous times? Right? So I'm not a guru. Don't pretend to be a guru. I'm a guru who does not mind sharing. Right? So just to give you a little bit of my background, my mindset, hopefully even a bit an idea in terms of my philosophy and my approach to business. So with that being said, when Ms. Makita Taylor or AtPeace contacted me and said, look, I want you to give a talk on entrepreneurship, I was like, wow, that's such a huge topic. I can go a million different directions with this, right? But where I'll start is where I start with most entrepreneurs. Most entrepreneurs who contact me, typically there's some incongruence, right? They fall in love with their business, or they don't know where to start in terms of getting their business off the ground. Or maybe, quite frankly, you've had success, right? Your business is beta test. You have clients, you have products, you've been doing well, but that's all you've been doing is just well, right? You've been doing good. We know the enemy of great is good, right? Or maybe you reached a point where you realize you need scale, but you don't know how. You don't know how to find good help. When you find good help, you don't know how to retain good help, right? I hear a majority of business owners that I work with today, the biggest thing they, quite frankly, complain the most about is I can't find good people. And then when I have good people, I can't keep good people. People don't want to work. People don't want to do this. People don't want to do that. And usually that's when I get the phone call. People realize I'm spending all this money. I'm spending all this time. I want to scale my business. I want to grow so I can help more people. And quite frankly, I want to earn grown adult income so I can comfortably pay my bills and live the lifestyle I want to create for myself, right? And so usually the first handful of questions I ask entrepreneurs when they come to me and they're at this place, right, where they've lost that love and feeling from their business or they just don't know where to go, is number one, what's your why? And I know it sounds corny. We've all heard it a million times. Define your why, define your why, right? People say, why is that important? Isn't it more important that I get a product or service out there in the marketplace that people are buying from me so I'm earning revenues? Yes, that's important. But I just firmly believe if you lost that love and feeling for your business, 9 times out of 10 is because there's incongruence. I just firmly believe that you can't put your life's energies behind a compromise. And if you're not in alignment with your values, if you're not in alignment with your internal soundtrack, what matters most to you, if you're not in alignment with how you want to serve the world and the gift that you want to give to the planet, if you're not in alignment with serving the people that you really like to serve, it's difficult. I'm not going to give you the pie in the sky BS.com that you find on Facebook and Instagram and all these other places. Entrepreneurship is difficult, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you that just because you choose to be an entrepreneur, man is going to fall from the sky. It's not, okay? 2% of the US population earns 100K per year. Don't get it twisted. Don't believe the hype. The people that you see driving around downtown Detroit and anywhere else, they're renting their lives. Okay, they're renting their lives. They don't earn 100K. Only 2% earn 100K. Okay, most people are living check to check. They just live in the champagne life on a beer budget. You can't tell because of social media. Okay, out of that 2%, a small percent of those individuals are entrepreneurs. So what does that tell you about entrepreneurship? Number one, if you've been able to start a business and just generate revenues, you're in rare air. If you've been able to start a business and take on clients and earn enough money to actually pay your bills, oh, you're very rare. And if you reach a point where your business actually creates and curates a lifestyle of abundance, where you get money as an issue out the way, or what I refer to as 6-figure income plus, trust me, everybody wants to become a millionaire. Everyone wants to become a billionaire. I'm willing to believe that almost every single one of you, if you woke up tomorrow and your business is kicking out 100K per year, whether you rolled out of bed or not, I mean, it was truly an asset, paying you 100K per year, which means you don't have to work anymore. I think almost every single one of you would be like, you know what? I'll take that, right? That's good. I can work with that, right? I think that's most of us, okay? But the issue is it's difficult. It takes a lot of energy. And my experience has been when I talk to most business owners, one of the first questions I ask them is, what's your why? And 90% of the time, they really can't tell me. And that's a problem because that's why you're feeling tired. Because the business or endeavor you're involved in, while it may be generating revenue, you can't summon the passion and the focus to stay in it and pay the price that you need to pay and learn the things you need to learn to become elite. Because keep in mind, trust me, if you are earning enough money to pay your bills, or if you're earning at least 100K per year, you are elite. You're like the Serena Williams and the Venus Williams of entrepreneurship. Trust me, you are. And that takes a lot of work. The Williams sisters sacrificed. They gave up a lot. There were parties they did not go to. There were functions they didn't go to. They were on the tennis court with their dad late at night when their other peers were having fun and doing other things. They sacrificed their teenage years to become elite. And then they went out on a court with an immune issue. Venus Williams always had some type of immune syndrome. So she was always sick. She was always tired. She was always going through it. Serena Williams had multiple injuries out there in Wimbledon. In order to become elite, that's the price they paid. Well, that's akin to entrepreneurship. You're going to have issues. You're going to have challenges. Deaths are going to occur. People are going to disappoint you. Things are going to happen with your children. Car accidents are going to occur. BS.com is going to find you. Just because you earn more money does not mean challenges and tribulations don't stop coming. The difference between entrepreneurs who succeed and become elite and those who don't is, despite the pain and hardship, we do it anyway, right? Just like elite athletes, we go through the bumps and bruises, we go through the pains, we go through the heartbreak, we go through the disappointment, and we do it anyway. And so that's why I go so hard on the why, okay? Because if your why is not right, it doesn't matter how potentially lucrative your business is going to be. You're not going to have the energy. You're not going to have the focus. You're not going to have the fire to do what you need to do. Now, I'm going to go a little bit deeper upon the why, right? In other words, when I ask on what's your why, the reason why I ask that question is I'm trying to find your fire, or what some people refer to as your power. That's what I'm really searching for. So I'll give you a case in point of what this sounds like and the type of questions you should be answering yourself. So I sat down with a lady approximately 3, maybe 4 months ago. No, it was 6 months ago. She was starting up a cannabis business. I said, great. And she was excited about it. I said, great. You want to start up a cannabis business? Okay, fantastic. I was like, why are you doing it? She says, because I grew up in the culture and I like smoking cannabis. I know other people like smoking cannabis, and I think it'd be a viable business option. I said, you know what? That logically makes sense, but that's not good enough. Everybody feels that about the cannabis industry. I want to know, why are you doing it? And she says, well, because my mother does it and I do it, and I just feel like I can help a lot of people with it. And I told her, no, that's still not good enough. It's not good enough. I need to know why. I need to know why you are really doing it. What motivated you to say, I'm going to get up and get into an industry that is like shady as all get out, highly expensive to participate in. You are a consumer in the industry. You've never been a producer, which means you got a lot to learn. Why would you choose such a difficult, intensive industry to go into? And she gets real quiet. And I said, I need you to tell me what pisses you off, what angers you, or what gives you energy. What angers you? What activates you? Because that's the real reason. And she told me the real reason. She said, look, I've been taking care of my mother for the last 10, 15 years. She has some type, I can't recall the disease she has, but it's been slowly but surely breaking her down. And her mother reached a point where she really can't even leave the living room anymore. She just sits in the living room, goes to the bathroom, back to the living room, because it's so painful for her to walk. It's so painful for her to go out in public. She doesn't go to the park. She doesn't go to the grocery store. She just sits in her living room. And she said one day she brought home an edible, left it out on the table, didn't realize her mother got up and had eaten it, not realizing it was an edible. And she said the following day she saw her mother get up and walk to the window and sit on the porch for like a couple moments and come back and sit down. She said she had never seen that in years. So she brought home another edible and kind of left it there. Her mother ate it again. And she did, like, not whole portion, small portion. She said a week later, she was going to the bathroom by herself. She was walking around the complex. Her mood had changed dramatically. The pain she was having in her joints, the pain she was having in her bowels. She says all this stuff was alleviated. And she watched that and she said she cried. She cried because she knew so many other women like her mother who are in that type of pain, but they can't go to the cannabis shop or store or area because they're afraid, right? Some of these environments are unsavory. There's still a stigma particularly among older women. Younger women have kind of thrown it off, but older women still feel some kind of way about people knowing that they use cannabis, right? She said that oftentimes older women don't have access to transportation, resources, et cetera, to do it. And she says, the reason why I want to start the cannabis business is to serve those people. I said, that's your reason why. That is the reason why you will get up and build your business. When things get tough, when you don't have the money, you'll find a way. When you don't know what you need to know because of that, you'll find a way. When you don't feel like it, when you're tired from work, you'll still get up and do the work. See, that's the type of why, and that's the type of energy, that's congruence you need to have in your business in order to be successful, right? That also answers the questions, who do you want to serve? Remember, before she said, I want to serve everybody. But once I found out what her why was, I found out exactly who she wants to serve. She doesn't want to serve everybody. That just sounds good to the public. The biggest mistake entrepreneurs make, especially in the beginning, is you're trying to share a why that you think will be amenable, that you think will be palpable, that you'll be acceptable to the public. Look, this is not a dress rehearsal. You only got one life to live. Everybody else is already taken. Do you? If you're motivated by money, purses, $1,000 shoes, taking trips, then roll hard on that. If that's you, that's you. If you're motivated by helping people, go hard on that. You want to help people? Great. You're motivated by being a nerd. You probably can tell I'm motivated by knowledge. I like learning things and doing things. I'm the type of person I learn, so I can't wait to go out and do it. I can't sit on it, right? You have people who are motivated by that. You have other people who are motivated, they just want to have fun. They can be broken on their knuckles. As long as they're having fun, they're good, right? You got to define what gives you energy. Stop writing down things that you think are going to be favorable and well received to other people around you. That's not where your power is. Your power is in your passion and in your values and the things that matter most to you. That's where you're going to find your energy. Because remember, if you're going to build a decent income as an entrepreneur, you need to become elite. You got to have elite energy, elite motivation. I'm talking Serena Williams, Venus Williams, Michael Jordan, hot, white desire to succeed. And succeed doesn't always mean financially, because if you're succeeding at scaling and helping more people, the finances will come. If you're helping more and more people, you're going to earn more and more money. If you solve people's needs and you help them do what they need to do, trust me, you'll never want for money. But you may be money motivated. And that's you too listening in. I need you to be okay with that. You don't need the front. If money motivates you, then let that be your thing, because that's where your energy is at. So the other thing that I was able to help her understand is that, look, your target market are people like your mother. People who are 60, 70, 80 years of age, who fit that cultural demographic, who are going through extreme pain, who are limited because of the pain and illnesses they're dealing with and a lack of support, right? And I told her, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but who do you want to serve? How do you want to serve is what we uncovered. So now we define her why, what really gives her energy. But we've also defined who she wants to serve, right? Who her core focus is, who her core niche is. And if you can define your core focus and niche, if you define what you want to do, if you can define how you want to serve, you define who you want to serve, now you can start to project 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years out. See, now you can define your competitive advantage, right? Her competitive advantage, her niche is different than everyone else's. Most people are going into the cannabis industry, are not going into the cannabis industry to serve 67-year-old women, African American women who are suffering from illnesses. But that's her niche. That's her power. That is what's going to separate her from her competition. See, the reason why, if you are starting and stopping, the reason why you're not getting traction in your business a lot of times is because the road is foggy. What do I mean by that? If you're driving, you woke up this morning and the road was so foggy that you couldn't see 3 feet ahead of you. Let's be real. You're not driving 50 or 60 miles per hour. You're not. You are going very slow because you know you cannot see where you're going. And if you run into a pothole here in Detroit, we don't have potholes, we got craters. So if you run in that crater, you lose your vehicle. Okay. If you hit somebody, if somebody hits you, you can't see them coming, you know you're going to have problems. Well, it's the same way in entrepreneurship. If you're going slow, if you're tentative, if you're not bold, 9 times out of 10, you have too much fall. You haven't identified your wow. You haven't identified who you want to focus. You haven't identified your niche. And so the road is foggy. You can't look out 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now and define your future because the road is foggy. You haven't defined who you want to serve and what you want to be doing. That's right. Part of the reason why this is so important, right? You have to be able to define these things. You have to look out and say, okay, 10 years from now, ideal world, my impact, right? The vision I have, the way I want to serve the world, it's working. People are receptive to it. How am I going to be serving? What is my business going to look like? How many people am I going to be serving, right? What other products and services do I envision myself in? How are you going to be living, right? Look, I'm a little bit of a whale too. I like to serve other people, but let me be real with you. It's hard to serve other people when you're drowning. Part of success as an entrepreneur is generating enough revenue so you can serve other people, but so you can serve you, because it's hard to think about being really successful and helping other people when your stomach is touching your back. Okay, I don't care how much of a giver you are. When your stomach is touching your back, it's hard to think about other people, right? You need to ask yourself, how's your business going to serve you? When I'm analyzing business plans, 90% of the time, people don't even understand this. The reason why you're getting declined is because I cannot tell you how many business plans I've looked at where at 5, 10 years from now, the person has not defined what their salary is going to be. The person has not defined what their lifestyle is going to be. People don't put that in their business plans. If I'm an investor, which I look at the world from the eyes of an investor because I'm a former investment advisor. If I'm a banker, if I'm a private investor, one of the first things I look at is how much money do you plan on paying yourself? Because if that's not in there, then that means you haven't accounted for yourself. And if you haven't accounted for yourself, when you start generating revenue, you're going to constantly have this pool between paying yourself and taking care of your family and investing in your business. It means you haven't thought deeply enough about this issue, right? So that's a reason why I promise you, if you talk to people who are in the capital acquisition industry, they'll tell you 90% of the time, the reason why they decline business plans is because the business owner hasn't even accounted for themselves in the business plan. That's one of the number one issues, right? So these things are important, right? So you can define 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, 1 year from now, how you're going to be living, who you're going to be serving, how you're going to be serving, how much in the way of revenue is going to be generating, et cetera, right? Also, we talk about niche. Another question that I pose to individuals is, what's going to be your guarantee? What's going to be your guarantee? What's the thing that's going to separate you from your competition? What's the thing that's going to make you unique? What's the thing that's going to make you elite? Remember, people don't pay 5-star prices for White Castle hamburgers, right? So if you expect people to compensate you what you're worth, if you expect to be in a situation where you're not scratching and clawing and constantly looking for clients all the time, you have to put yourself in a situation where you bring a value prop that is unique and different from everyone else, where people have to come to see you in order to get what it is that you have. So I'm gonna give you a couple simple examples, right? Everyone, I think, here is over the age of 30. So we probably all are familiar with Domino's Pizza, right? I remember Domino's Pizza when they first started. Domino's Pizza was some little small mom and pop. There was no Domino Farms when they first started. They were little small little pizza joints struggling like everybody else. And then Domino's did something different about 20, maybe a little over 20 years ago. They were the first pizza joint to come out with a guarantee. Does everyone remember that? When McDonald's, not McDonald's, but when Domino's would guarantee that we would get your pizza there at a certain amount of time. And if you didn't like it, you could send it back. And I remember in the pizza industry, it was like, you crazy, no way in the world. Like, you're going to go out of business overnight. The exact opposite happened. People are like, wait a minute, you're going to guarantee the pizza to taste good. You're going to guarantee it's going to get here within 15, 20 minutes. And then if it doesn't, you're going to get my money back. Man, we all started ordering Domino's. I want you to think about your business the same way. That was their guarantee. Now look at the entire food industry pretty much, right? Everyone's doing that now, for the most part. You order something on DoorDash, if it doesn't get there at a certain amount of time, the quality isn't good, they give you some type of what? Refund. Instacart does the same thing. Most restaurants do the same thing. Domino's set that standard, right? What's your guarantee? I guarantee to my clients, I'm gonna give you a just totally different situation, different industry. When I'm having sessions with clients and talking to them, whether it be 30 minutes or an hour, I always guarantee my client right at the outset, that when this is done, I want you to give me on a scale 1 through 5. 1 being it was a complete waste of time, JuJuan. You suck. You don't know what you're talking about. I will never chat with you again, and don't just lose my number. Versus 5, I want, if it's a 5, it means you learned something new today. I clarified something for you today. I brought you a certain type of value, or I created a situation where you feel like had you not met me, you'd still be along a certain path, where I cut your learning curve. Maybe instead of a 5-year time frame to get something done, I cut it down to 1 year, 1 through 5. And my guarantee is every single time you're going to say 5. And if you say 5, you got to pay me what I asked for. That's my guarantee. Right? What's yours?
Can I use that one?
Sure.
It's a good one.
But what's your guarantee? Right? We know Jimmy John's, right? Jimmy John's. You walk in Jimmy John's, they tell you, what is it, like 5-10 minutes, something crazy like that. Or it's free, right? What's your guarantee? What's your signature word? When someone does business with you, acquiring a product, service, online, offline, what are you going to guarantee them, right? This is important. And look, I know I'm condensing a lot in a short amount of time. Trust me, the presentation I have is about an hour, and I'm trying to condense it in like 30 minutes. I promise AtPeace that I wouldn't take forever. So I'm giving you a lot. But what's your guarantee? Now, here's the other thing. What's your process? Your guarantees determine your process. Everything I do is not around earning money. Everything I do is my process is all focused around my guarantee. My guarantee is my competitive advantage. My guarantee is my uplifting service agreement with my clients. My uplifting service agreement with my clients is what my guarantee is. Everything in my business model is designed to deliver on my guarantee, right? It should be the same thing with you. If you're having a hard time trying to figure out what it is that you should be doing on a day-to-day basis, you don't know what your key performance indicators are. If you're having a hard time onboarding people, it's because you haven't defined your process, right? There's a process to everything you do. We all have a process. We all have a process. Trust me, we do. Every one of you wakes up in the morning and you have some type of routine that you've been doing since the time you were alive for the most part, right? Everyone wakes up and in some order, they brush their teeth, wash their face, take a bath, get dressed. You have a routine. You pretty much do the same thing every single day, whether you realize it or not. So you have a process for almost everything in your life. You probably eat around the same time. You put your shoes on around the same time. You probably call your family and friends around the same time. We all have processes. You need to have a process for your business. And that process needs to revolve around your guarantee. If you're having a difficult time taking on clients consistently, it's because you haven't defined your process. And then more importantly, if you're having a hard time finding good employees and keeping good employees, people oftentimes want to blame the employees. And look, good employees are a little bit difficult to come by. I will admit that. On the flip side of it, though, if you don't have a process in place and you onboard an employee and you haven't given them a track to run on, of course they're going to fail. Of course they're not going to serve you. They don't know what they should be doing. See, the biggest issue that a lot of entrepreneurs have is you haven't made the transition from being an entrepreneur, self-employed micro business owner to a business owner. The difference is business owners have processes, right? So when you onboard someone, when you find a talent or somebody you want to work with, the moment they start, there should be a process. There should be a roadmap to follow. And let me tell you this, everything that works does not duplicate, but everything that duplicates works. Some of you are doing things that cannot be duplicated, and therefore you will never find freedom. You have to find a way to write down things that you do in a manner that duplicates. Because you're not going to find anyone who has your exact life experience. You're not going to find anyone who has your exact skill set. You're not going to find someone who has the same degree of talent that you have. You're not going to find people who are welded and shaped the exact same way you are. But there are things that you do that can be duplicated. People may not be able to give the same presentation I can give using the exact same words and language I give. Why? I got almost 20 years of experience of working with entrepreneurs. Most people just don't have that. 15 entrepreneurs a week for 20 years across the United States. But I can create a PowerPoint that can tease out the majority of stuff that I talk about, and a person that may not be me can still read that PowerPoint and bring value. You see what I'm saying? You got to find things that duplicate. Not everyone's going to be able to go into a restaurant, a mixer, or any type of social event and approach people the exact same way that I know how to approach people, how to read people's body language, how to read their eye contact, how to pay attention to them linguistically. These are skills that I've honed over 20 years. But I can teach people something called form: family, occupation, recreation, motivation. Everyone you meet, you should form them: family, occupation, recreation, motivation. Why? Because people do business with folks and they like, know, and trust. And people tend to like, know, and trust you when you talk to them about their family, their occupation, their recreation, their motivation, as opposed to just running up on them saying, hey, buy my stuff. See, I can teach people form. I can teach people to form people. So people will start to like, know, and trust them. There's a stronger likelihood they'll do business, right? You got to find processes. You got to find tools that people can use that they can't necessarily do it the way you do, but they can still be successful and they can duplicate. And these things need to be written down. They need to be simple signing. They need to be so simple that a 7th grader can do it. And if you have your processes written down, I promise you, you'll have better luck with people that you hire. People that you hire and there's no process, they're frustrated too. And quite frankly, just like you have to teach people how to treat you, well, guess what? It's the same thing with your employees or your staff members or your virtual assistants. If you don't have a foundation, if you don't have a process, if you don't have a why, a target audience, they look at you and they don't see you as a serious business owner either. They see you as a hustle. So they treat you like a hustle. You see why the why, the focus is so important? It literally pours into every aspect of your business. But if you don't take the time to ask yourself these tough questions, you can't proceed on to A, B, and C and put systems in place, right? That's why this is important. You got to be able to find that process. And you have to literally, so I give you an exercise. As an investment advisor, people come into my office and they would say, well, I don't have enough money to invest. I would say, this is what I want you to do. I want you to take out a notebook. And when you take out this notebook, from today to 30 days from now, I literally want you to write down every dime that you spend. I don't care if it's 10 cents. I don't care if it's automatic transaction. I don't care if you have to go in your pocketbook. I don't care if it's plastic. And I know it's tedious. I know it's problematic. There's a reason why I'm forcing you to do this. I'm forcing you to slow down and speed up. I want you to write down every dime that you spend. And it's amazing what I would find out 30 days later. Number one, if you show me where people spend their money, I'll show you their priorities. That's number one. Number two, they were able to see that $10 worth of chips, pop, soda, and whatever else they're buying adds up. 10 times 30 is $300. People were able to see that fifth or whatever, the cigarettes, everyone has their favorite coffee shop or their favorite cafe or restaurant they go to once a week. Some people go to almost every day, right? $20 here and there adds up. I was able to show families sometimes, they were shocked that at the end of a month, there was actually an additional $300 to $500, sometimes $600 of wiggle room in their budget they weren't even aware of. People saying, I can't save. Yeah, you can. You're just not aware of where you're spending your money. People say, I don't have time. You have time. You're just not aware of how you're spending your time. That jumping on 20, 30 minutes on Facebook, Instagram, those 20, 30 minutes of frivolous conversations, those 20, 30 minutes of getting mad, getting upset, those time, you don't lose time in 3-hour chunks. You lose time in the 10, 15 minutes of wasted chunks that accumulate over the course of time in a week, right? Well, look, that same acute attention that you can pay attention to how you spend your time and your money, you pay attention to what you do. From the time you meet a client, the process starts. From the time you make eye contact to the time that client says, yes, I'll do business with you, you should literally document every step of the way. Everything you say and do, everything that you send to the person, every message you send, everything that comes out of your mouth and every action you take, every text message, you should document it all. And then you should look at it and say, okay, what are the things that other people can do? What are these things that are unique to me that no one else can do? And then what are the things that everyone else around me, if I were to bring them on, that a 7th grader could do? And you should document that. And that's what you should hand to your employees. There are going to be some things that they just can't do because it's just uniquely you. You have a special relationship with a particular client or a prospect, they can't duplicate that. There's nothing you can do about that. As a business owner, you got to handle that. But what about all the other things that they could be doing, right? That's how you need to think about your business. That's how you scale. That's how you grow, right? And then once you've duplicated your process, once you define your process, then you can ask yourself, do the people get my mission? Do they get my values? Do they get what I'm passionate about? If they don't, they're just mercenaries. They're just showing up to collect a check. And that's okay. But understand, a mercenary is not going to stay late. A mercenary is not going to arrive early. A mercenary isn't going to be at the job trying to figure out how they can help uplift the company and thus uplift themselves. They don't see they don't have a symbiotic connection to the company. They don't see that a rising tide lifts all ships. So if they don't get what your passion is, they don't get what your values are, they don't get really why your business exists beyond just making a buck. They're mercenary. And you're going to get mercenary treatment in return. They may show up to work, they may not. They may quit 2 months from now. You get mad at them. You get upset with them. They may say, you know what, forget you. I'm going to quit, because they're not bought in anyway, right? But once again, I'm going to be redundant here. Do we understand why defining your why, who you want to serve and how you want to serve is so important? Because if you haven't defined those things, you are going to attract mercenaries, okay? You ultimately want to attract and work with people who have your same vibe, who are vibrating the same way you vibrate, who believe what you believe and share the values you share, because those are the people who are going to be around, okay? Then you have to ask yourself, okay, some people will get what it is that you do, but they don't want to be accountable to it. That's fair. Some people say, you know what? I respect that, but I don't want to be accountable to it, right? So once again, you got to ask yourself, okay, do they get what I do? That's number one. But then do they want to be accountable to it? They may not want to be accountable to your guarantees. So you know you're on borrowed time with them, right? Because they don't want to be accountable. The person doesn't want to be accountable will never be a leader. They'll just be a link, right? Some people are meant to link you to the proper people. They're not meant to lead in your business or organization. They're just meant to be links. It's important that you define them, because a business owner will invest a lot of time in a link, and then they're gone, and you invested all this time and energy, and they're gone, and now you've taken an L, right? And then you have some people that need to be capable. They need to be capable of delivering on your guarantee. They need to be capable of delivering on your values. They need to be capable of delivering on your uplifting service agreement. These things are so absolutely important if you're going to have success long term. And hopefully these things are resonating with you in such a way where you have a better understanding of the mindset you need to have in terms of starting your business, but also the mindset you need to have in terms of actually growing your business. I can give you tactics. I can give you strategies. Trust me, I can write books on this stuff. But if you don't have the correct mindset, if your mental framework isn't right in terms of defining these things, it doesn't matter. You can grow your business. It's like an athlete becomes a multimillionaire, right? Because they can dribble that ball and throw that rock. But they never become a millionaire inside. So when they stop dribbling the rock and throwing the football, what happens to their money, right? You want to be that entrepreneur that actually has these things down. Because let me tell you this, and I'll wrap up here, because I know I've gone over probably 10, 15 minutes. I stopped looking at the clock, so I'm sorry. But look, the recession's coming. And a lot of tall trees are about to burn down. The recession's coming. Warren Buffett says, you don't know who's really naked until the tide recedes. There are a lot of people right now who are earning money. There are a lot of people right now who look popular. There are a lot of people right now who look like they're legitimate, who are earning monies they really should not be earning because they're really not bringing value. When the tide recedes, when a recession comes, the people who are still standing will be the individuals who have core values, who have a core focus. They're really bringing value. They're really bringing guarantees. They're really doing things right. So when a recession comes, you're not going to be afraid because your business isn't going to stop. I'm just speaking from experience. I've been through 2000. I was a business owner in 2000. So you're not talking to somebody that's been a W-2 working jobs periodically. I have not worked jobs in my adult life. I've only built businesses. So I don't know what having a job is like. I wouldn't last 2 seconds on that. Trust me, I get fired in 2 seconds. So all I've done is build businesses. In 2000, I was a business owner. In 2008, I was a business owner. Today, I'm a business owner. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not afraid of the recession. I'm looking forward to it. And if you're really an entrepreneur, you will look forward to it, because when the tide recedes, because you're rooted in your values. You're rooted in your focus. You're rooted in helping people and bringing value. You're rooted in a system. When the wind blows, you'll be that tree with deep roots that just kind of weathers the storm, as opposed to the ones that get washed away, right? And this is the piece that's so absolutely important. If you get these things right, you have the foundation to build a fantastic business. Is this going to guarantee your success? No, no one deserves of success. No one deserves success. No one is especially blessed by God. I'm sorry. No, success must be earned, and the rent is due every single day. You got to get up and do the work. But if you're rooted correctly and you're doing the work, don't be afraid of the recession. Celebrate it. Because when you're the only one last standing, guess who's going to take all that windfall? Guess who's going to enjoy all that clientele? Not because you won at other people's expense, but because you won because you gave people value. All right, I'll press pause there.
Ooh, that was delicious. And we've been meditating on trees. So this whole thing is tying in for me. I don't know about y'all, but I'm picking up what he is laying down. I want to say thank you. Thank you so much. Ladies, anybody have any comments, anything that they want to share? Please do so. Let me read some of these comments in the chat to you, JuJuan. This is very good information. This is from Pam. This is very good information. Thank you, Mr. Buford. Thank you, Peace. You're welcome, Pam. Allison says, Mr. Buford, did you put down your information? Oh, yeah. Make sure you put your information in the chat for us so it can stay in touch with you. But ladies, Buford, JuJuan, would you like to, do you have any closing remarks before we close out?
No real closing remarks. I mean, I don't like to get started. Once I get started, you already know I start nerding out and I'll keep going.
Right.
So what I'll do is I'll say, because there's so much I did want to share, but what I will, okay, so I'll leave you with this, right? Everyone has a goal setting. Everyone has a goal setting plan. The goal setting is difficult, it's skilled trade, but very few people have a goal achieving plan, and you need both. Mm-hmm. You need both. So I hear so many people say, well, I've learned this information, I have these goals, I've set these goals, I have this vision for myself, I'm doing my affirmations, but I'm not getting traction. And 9 times out of 10, even after a talk like this, people still sometimes don't get traction. It's because you don't have a goal achieving plan. And it would take 30 minutes to talk about it, but I'm going to just give you one tidbit to help you with this. Just know that the human mind has about 60 to 80,000 thoughts per day, and that 80% of them are negative. And you can't do anything about it. It's how we're hot-wired by evolution. You can't do anything about it, right? It's how we survive as long. Because remember, we've only had this technology for only 60 to 100 years. So before then, we were running from animals with sharper teeth who were stronger and faster than us. And if we ate the wrong berry, we died. So this negativity allowed us to survive. But it kills us as entrepreneurs because, you know, you can't be creative and you can't succeed when you're negative, right? You can't do anything about it. It's in your your cerebrum, and your cerebrum is really what's controlling everything, okay? It's hot wired. You're negative, you can't help it. But what you can do is constantly offset it. So if you've taken notes today, if you have, if some seeds were planted today, what I'm going to encourage you to do is put it in an index card, put it in your appointment book, take a snapshot of your notes, put it in your phone, make your thoughts and the things that you want to do omnipresent, where every couple moments per day, you can't help but to look at it. Like my goals are in my phone. I have reminders in my phone to tell me my goals are right. When I look at the screen share on my iPad, my goals are there. My goals are everywhere all the time because I know I have to offset the 60,000 to 48,000 negative thoughts that I'm having, right? And that's part of the goal achieving plan. So this was just a talk if you don't do that. It was a training. It was life-changing if you use the information to take action with it, right? Whatever notes you took, whatever things that resonated with you today, I want you to take that, put it in your own words. I want you to define a couple things you want to accomplish and then look at it as many times per day as humanly possible to offset the negative thoughts that are inevitably going to come and say hello to you. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's what I would close with.
That's
and thank you again.